Hi, this is Medhat El-Masri. In today's video, we will explore the Docker MCP Toolkit. We will use two MCP servers in the toolkit, namely PostgreSQL and Playwright. So what is Docker MCP Toolkit? The Docker MCP Toolkit enables hosting and managing MCP servers. These servers expose APIs for specific development tasks such as retrieving GitHub issue data or querying databases using natural language. In order to get the most benefit from this video, you need the following. You need to have Docker Desktop, the latest version. You also need Visual Studio Code, also the latest version. You need to have the GitHub Copilot extension for VS Code, and you need to set the GitHub Copilot with chat with agent mode enabled. Let's first start Docker Desktop on our computer. And this is what it looks like. You will notice that on the left side, there is this MCP toolkit. At the moment, I have not selected any servers. But if you click on the catalog, there are 224 servers that you can choose from. We will choose two of these, namely the PostgreSQL, which is this one here, and Playwright, which is the one in the top right-hand corner. You can, of course, choose any, but the idea here is to explore with you how do you set it up and how do you connect it to VS Code. We will get started by running a PostgreSQL database in a container that is already preloaded with a Northwind database. So to do that, we will go into a terminal window and run this container. So you can execute this command, docker run, and we're going to name the container PSQLNW, NW for Northwind. We have this environment variable. Of course, the admin account in PostgreSQL is Postgres. That is the username. We're going to set this password, very secret. And the default port number for PostgreSQL is 5432, but we're going to map it to 5433. This is the image that we're going to download and run. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in here to start the container. And if you go now to containers, you will notice that the container is running. The name of the container is PSQLNW. Let us enable an MCP server in the toolkit. So I'll click on MCP Toolkit, go to the catalog, and the filter, I will just type in PostG. I'm going to choose PostgreSQL, read only. To add that to our list, you're just going to click on the plus sign here. We need to enter a secret. The secret is nothing but the connection string. In the case of PostgreSQL, this is the format of the connection string or the secret. You would add for read-only underscore user, the username, and the admin username is Postgres, and the password is very secret, and that's what we used when we started the container. The port number is going to be 5433, and the database name is Northwind. So let us customize this. I'm going to change this to Postgres. That's the username. The password I'm using is very secret. And because the MCP server that's going to run will be running inside of Docker, and our database is running inside of Docker, so the host is going to be host.docker.internal. The port number is 5433, and the database name, which is preloaded in this container, is called Northwind. So we can take this, copy it, and paste it for secret here, and click on the check mark. Now, if you go back to the list of servers, you will see that we have one tool here, and it's configured. So we can now use it. Go to a working directory, and I will create a folder called MCP server, and I'm going to go into that MCP server folder. And this is optional. You can log out of Docker with Docker logout. I'm going to click on allow, so it's logging me out, and then I will log in again just to make sure that this is going to work. So I'm going to go Docker login. Of course, this is optional because if you're already logged in, there is no problem. I will log in and come back. I just logged in and you can see here login succeeded. Next, let's go into VS Code. I can do that by typing in code dot. And here is my VS Code. Open the command palette. On Windows, you can hit Control-Shift-P on the keyboard, or on a Mac, you can hit Command-Shift-P. I'm going to just choose it from the menu system, so I'm going to click on View Command Palette. Select MCP Add Server. Next, it's going to ask you, how do you want to connect to the MCP server? Choose the first one, which is command stdio. And for the command, type Docker MCP Gateway Run. I'm going to copy this and simply paste it in here and hit enter. The next thing it asks me for is a server ID, and I'm just going to call it my MCP server, hit enter here. Now you have a choice of setting up the configuration either globally or in a workspace. Workspace actually means local to this folder that we just created. I prefer to do that. Click on Trust to this pop-up. You get a folder called .vs Code created under your working directory, and in there is a file called mcp.json with this content. And it's basically the command that we entered. Command Docker, and the arguments are MCP Gateway Run. Let's open up the GitHub Copilot chat window by clicking on this. And you should choose Agent Mode here and any of the Claude models. I'm going to choose Claude Sonnet 4. You can also click on this Tools icon, and if you go to the bottom here, you will see that this server that we configured, named my MCP server, it is running and it's got only one tool. The tool is query run a read-only SQL query. All this does is execute queries against the database. That's all it needs to do. So I'm going to close this by clicking on the OK button. We can now query the Northwind database using natural language. I'm going to enter this prompt. What are the tables in the PostgreSQL Northwind database? I'll copy this and paste it in the chat window. So now it has detected that there is some MCP server that's capable of handling this request. It asks me to click on Allow. I'll do that, and off it goes. It has come back with this response. These are the tables in the database: categories, customers, orders, etc., etc., etc. Another question. How about we ask it this question: what are the products supplied by Exotic Liquids? This is a supplier, and we want to know what products they supply. So again, it's asking me to click on Allow, and off it goes to query the database. These are the two products supplied by Exotic Liquids: aniseed syrup and Chang. We just explored how to use the PostgreSQL MCP server that is available as part of the Docker MCP Toolkit. The next one we want to explore is Playwright. And what does Playwright do? Well, it sends keystrokes to web pages. But this MCP server is interesting because you can tell it to go to a website and gather for you information. Let's go now to the MCP Toolkit on Docker desktop, and I'm going to go back to the catalog. I have Playwright right here. I'm going to add that. Now, in the case of Playwright, you don't need to configure anything, as opposed to PostgreSQL, where we had to configure a secret. Back in VS Code, I'm going to just make sure that I restart the server. I can go to the MCP tools, and let's go down to the one that we have here called My MCP Server. And if you look now, there's a lot of more tools that are used. The one we had before was simply query run, but we have a ton of other browser tools. I'm going to ask it this prompt. Using the tools provided from the Docker MCP server, navigate to this news site, www.bbc.com, and find the two most popular business stories. So let us copy this and paste it in the chat. So it found an MCP server that can address this particular prompt, and it's asking me to click on Allow. I'll do that. So it found the BBC homepage, and it wants to go to a business link on that homepage. I'll allow that too. and now it came up with the results. It says the two most important stories are what makes this US shutdown different and more difficult, and it has summarized that article. And another one is Japan stocks hit record after ruling party names pro-business leader, and again we have a summary here. In conclusion, I hope you found this video useful. These are really early days of MCP servers. I'm sure things will evolve much more in this very important space. If you found this video useful, please give it the thumbs up. And until I see you in the next video, good luck and take care.